to pray. I mean, the president has even, come out to reiterate that. I mean, he came out to say that there is need for Nigerians and Muslims to rededicate themselves, to a nation building and all of that. Over time, we've also heard, our leaders coming out to tell us that we need to pray for our dear country. It's okay to pray for Nigeria. I mean, it's our country. Elsewhere, we'll be treated as, strangers. But beyond prayers and, fasting, I mean, what more do we have to do or need to do to restore, the lost glory, quote unquote?
It's only one thing, the needful.
What is the needful?
Normalcy.
Okay.
Let's behave as normal human beings. This is a country where people are suffering. Many Nigerians can afford to have 3 square meals on their table.
Right.
And at the same time, there is a very high cost of governance. It doesn't make sense. The governors, the presidency, have to adapt by the situation, by changing the cost, by reducing the cost of governance, by putting more effort in fighting corruption. Nigeria is very rich. Nigeria is not poor, but it is poorly managed by few individuals. If we can change that narratives, then Nigeria will be, will go back to its lost glories. This is a country where we lack adequate power supply, but yet instead of us to make sure of having adequate and constant power supply, we are thinking of adding hardship to the poor man by increasing tariff.
But I mean, NEC has come out to say that we have people who enjoy 20 hours of power supply in the country. Is 20 hours of power supply not fair enough?
It's not fair enough. We are so powerful to have, to pass the issue of power supply. Right. How can you run a business without power supply?
But let me ask you this. Would you pitch your tent with those who are suggesting that we adopt a parliamentary system of government as opposed to the presidential system of government? Because for some people, that will be able to, address the issue of, corruption and also reduce the cost of governance.
I can be aligned to that. But most importantly, let's change our mindsets. That governance is all about taking your share from the national cake. Everybody wants to go there to cut his own and maybe take away his ration and the ration of his own people. One person will be charged with the corruption of amount that is more than enough for his local government. If we can change that, it's going to help us.
But changing, mindsets and trying to change the narrative must also, take cognizance of what we call the fear of God, isn't it? Because if you're trying to change someone's mindset, somehow you would also want to know if that person has the fear of God, in them. So we cannot overrule the essence of having the fear of God.
Excuse me. I agree with you. Fear of God is very important. But what do you see today in the Eid ground? Many Nigerians are so religious. We claim to be godly, but we lack consciousness. If we are so conscious about the right and wrong, it's enough for us as people to build our nation. We are more religious than Chinese. And look at what China is today.
That speaks volumes to say that we are more religious than the Chinese.
Yes.
It speaks volumes.
Yes, of course.
But I mean, who are we supposed to apportion this blame on? Is it the religious leaders, who have large number of followers? Because there are people who can be very gullible. They are willing to follow whatever their cleric or clergyman or pastor tells them to do.
Well, I think even the religious leaders, which I claim to be one, must change their mindsets.
Do you claim to be one, or you are one?
Well, I am one of them.
Right.
Okay, if I'm one of them, I have to change my mindset. Either you are a follower of Jesus Christ or a follower of Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, like myself. Okay, now, was Muhammad materialist? Was Jesus Christ a materialist? No, the answer is no. No Christian can say Jesus came to teach materialism. Why are we not so spiritual? Why are we so materialist while claiming to be men of God? That is where religious leadership is wrong in Nigeria. We cannot, if the Imam is so materialist, he cannot build the spirit of his followers. They cannot be spiritual. And you cannot be godly without being spiritual. That is where we got religion wrong. We must get it right by reducing our search for wealth and power. If we can caution our followers, especially the politicians, to be spiritual, to reduce that greed. What is happening in Nigeria is because of the high level of greed